And we are back on the Zero Hour. I am Richard RJ Eskow, and our next guest will help us with a topic. Well, we may go anywhere, but the topic is really important to me, and I want to cover it more on the show, which is consumer affairs, the ways in which big corporations are affecting and degrading our lives because of the power they've assumed in our culture. Cliff Weathers is a senior editor at Alternet, covering environmental and consumer issues. He used to be deputy editor at Consumer Reports, which is a great organization. Also, his work has appeared in Salon, Car and Driver, Playboy, Raw Story, and Detroit Monthly, among others. We are glad to have him. Cliff, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good. I hope they're not saying too many bad things about me over at Alternet. I'm about 3 weeks late filing a story for them myself. But,
Okay.
yeah, I hope they forgive me. And listen, you wrote a number of pieces lately that I always enjoy reading your stuff, but one of the ones that really resonated with me on the consumer side is you wrote a piece, I guess I'm going to guess 2 weeks ago, no, 10 days ago, is cable TV's rip-off tyranny coming to an end? Is a la carte TV all it's supposed to be? What's the background there? I mean, we all know we hate cable TV companies, and they're getting more monopolistic than ever, but what's the alternative?
Okay. Well, the funniest thing is you really can't cut the cord. If you get rid of, unless you don't want internet, you're going to get internet anyway. The idea is that there are companies, if you have Netflix or you have something like Hulu, these are what are called, internet television, which competes basically with cable television, which is also supplied you over the internet right now. So the way the cable companies look at this is that this is direct competition with them. And now you have another company, Sling TV, that comes in that's actually bringing in some cable companies. So this is why they're really worried about net neutrality, which actually passed today, and why this scares them to death, because somehow or another they become more of like a carrier service than they do a conglomeration of television networks. So then this makes it also like competition, which they didn't think they were ever going to have. So this is a pretty scary thing, and that's why they fought so hard against net neutrality.
And by scary, I hear you to say awesome.
Yeah.
but that said, Dish TV, you mentioned this. Dish TV has something called Sling TV service. What is that? $20, no startup fees, and what does it do? What exactly is it?
It's basically something like the number changes all the time, but it's like 14 or 15 basic cable stations. You got AMC on there, you got CNN, you got ESPN, ESPN2, goes on and on. IFC now is on there. And it's basically like having basic cable, but not having basic cable. The big thing that you don't have with things like Hulu and Netflix is you don't have live TV. You don't have CNN. You don't have sports like ESPN. And this actually sort of makes it more like having cable television. And when I use the word scary again, it's scary awesome. The cable companies look at this and say, somebody's beating us. And this really can be, the Sling TV can be what brings down the cable Goliath. I think now with these net neutrality rules in place, that this is a possibility. I mean, it is a very small, player right now. I mean, we're talking about less than 0.0001% of the market. Nobody's got this yet. So, but things may change real quickly.
So we're talking with Cliff Weathers from Alternet. Now, I'm wondering, as I think about something like Sling TV or some of the alternatives people have put together, combining whatever, Apple TV and Netflix. So you're saying in both these cases, the one thing you're missing is live broadcasting, whether it's sports or news. That's the main thing you don't get?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you don't get that, then I suppose, but aren't more people broadcasting, maybe not sports, but aren't more people broadcasting that stuff on the internet anyway, streaming?
Yeah, well, I mean, even the TOIT network, which you're part of, the Young Turks, I watch them all the time. I watch them on my Chromecast, on my television. Love it. The big thing is you have to piece together this stuff. You have to have this. You have to have your Roku box to do this. You got to have your Chromecast. Got to have Netflix to do this, and it sort of becomes a little bit confusing. I think that the one thing is that the one thing cable has always had. It's always had that they're just single carrier. It's like you just flip stations. Here, people are sort of cobbling it together, and that's a little difficult thing. But I think people sort of might be willing to do that if they have a little bit more freedom of choice and buying what they want and not getting what they don't want.
Well, let's sort of game this one out for a second. Let's suppose this catches on, and which I hope it does, because I certainly look. I will cobble a lot together for $1,000 a year. So let's hope that this thing catches on. What could their countermeasure be? Now that we've had a victory for net neutrality, that was one of their attempts to stop it. What any thoughts? I mean, could they start just charging 5 times as much for cable access, or forcing networks to withhold their services, or what do you think?
Well, there's a lot going on here. The one thing that is sort of invisible in all this that is happening is now with net neutrality, there's a small provision in there that allows that no longer allows states to regulate municipalities, keeping them from actually becoming their own internet service provider. So what happens is that right now, if you have Time Warner and you decide that you don't want cable, you don't want cable television, you don't want telephone, you just want internet, they can say, well, as part of a triple play, it's only $39.95, but on its own, it's $70. So you're going to pay more for internet access. And also, there's a couple of things that they could play on you. Is like their customer service might not be as well because you're not one of their premium triple service providers, which they do to people. But what's great about this is that this is going to bring in competition. This is going to where cities like Chattanooga, Tennessee have already done this, where municipalities can come in and say, we're going to form a public service corporation around this, and we're going to compete. And, maybe we can make some money on this. And which is a great thing, is that this is a way for municipalities actually to make money that's not, get revenue that's not from taxes, something that people actually want. Because the amount of profit that they make on internet that Comcast and Time Warner and Verizon Fios make is almost 97%. Think if a municipality does that, think of lowering your taxes and making your life better and making it a great place for you to live, too.
Well, it also, by the way, increases the role of the municipality in civic life, kind of the way utilities do, or that sort of thing. So I love that idea. I want to jump in and be part of that myself. I'll tell you what, Cliff, if you have, we're talking with Cliff Withers from Alternet. There were 1 or 2 other pieces he wrote that I'd love to chat with you about. If you got a minute, maybe you can stick around. Sure. And we'll take a break. Okay, great. We will be right back after this with Cliff Withers, consumer affairs and environmental reporter. After this break, I am Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.